But today we're going to be talking about how to break free of fear, how to let go of fear. When I was doing missionary style work in the jungle of South America, I was on a little vacation trip to a neighboring village. And in the neighboring village, there was an American man that I met there. His name was Jared. Jared and I became instant friends. He was there doing missionary work as well. Jared was not a normal guy. He was young. He was full of energy, but Jared would never stop talking. But this matched me well because I was a good listener. And so Jared and I hit it off. And as I started to hang with him, I noticed that this man was a genius. It was in the way that he would think and act. So for instance, if you played a board game with Jared, he would be able to tell you what moves you should make. He knew what cards were in your hand, even though he had never seen them. And he would be able to count cards and keep track of what he was doing. And even though he was actually helping you out, he was really helping everyone, he would still be able to win the game, even when he would work against himself to his own disadvantage. He was just simply a brilliant man. And I appreciated having a mind like his to bounce off of. I would just start endless debates with him, and we would talk for hours, debating back and forth on concepts of the universe, creativity versus logic, and things like that. Jared was a survivor of childhood trauma as well. And he told his stories of neglect and abuse and how he had to really fend for himself from the age of 8 onward. Jared revealed to me that he had a special weakness, and he asked me not to tell anyone. And Jared said, I don't like people to know this, but I can't feel physical pain. I said, why are you ashamed of that? That sounds like a dream. A lot of people would relish the ability to go through life without being able to feel pain. He said, no, it's a nightmare. You see, if you can't feel physical pain properly, then that means that you could be getting hurt, you can be getting harmed and not know it. So when a normal person would have a stomach ache, I'm not feeling anything, so I don't know how to take care of myself properly. I've hurt myself badly before. I've cut my foot or burned myself without realizing that was actually happening. And some of my friends, when they found out, they would play tricks and pranks on me that are very dangerous. Like one time they threw a jellyfish at me that could sting me. And they thought it was funny because if the jellyfish landed on my back and stung me, then I wouldn't know that it stung me because I can't feel it necessarily. And he said, and it gets worse. You see, there's a stomach condition that I have, and it's throwing everything off because I don't know if I'm really hungry sometimes or if I'm having what would be stomach pain, if I could actually feel the stomach pain. I told him, I'm really sorry to hear that. And that I would be respectful of his condition and that I would keep that private. And they did. But unfortunately, it wasn't long after I met Jared that I got the news Jared died. He died there in the jungle. He was out on a missionary tour, and according to his partner who was with him, he just collapsed. They were just walking and he fell to the ground and he was dead. It could be that if Jared could have felt the pain in his stomach because it was some type of stomach cancer that he died from, it could have gotten medical assistance, or at least not ended up dying in the middle of the jungle where his partner had to carry him back, which is nearly impossible. One thing that can be learned from Jared, and Jared's full of many lessons, is that pain is not the enemy. Pain is not a bad thing. The reason I bring this up is because when we talk about the concept of fear, fear is consistently the avoidance of pain. It's the dreading of pain. What it is that we actually fear is not the situations that are going to occur, but it's how they're going to make us feel. We're afraid of how we're going to feel, either physically, but especially metaphysically, if someone rejects us, or if we lose our job, or if we end up in a financial situation, or if we get dumped. It's the pain that we actually fear. But what we have to remember is that pain is for protection. If Jared could have felt pain physically, it could have protected his physical existence. Pain is an informant to the self. Metaphysically speaking, when we're talking purely energy, mental, emotional, psychological pain is also for protection. It is an informant. It is to let you know that something in your reality or in your perceived reality is threatening the self. Your very existence, in a metaphysical sense, your soul. Something is threatening you. You are your values. So when something is threatening your values, it brings on pain in the form of anxiety, i.e., fear. So when we are afraid that something is going to hurt us, hurt our existence, hurt our values, it develops in us as this fear, and it is such an unpleasant sensation that for many, they just feel overwhelmed and they become obedient to the fear. They become subservient to the fear. But is that how we're supposed to handle fear? Is fear a good thing? Should we try to let go of fear? Should we try to be fearless? There are many misconceptions about fear, and we're going to clear these up today because some people will tell you when you're feeling fear, they'll say, hey, don't fear anything. You should be fearless, let go of the fear. And some people will say, well, fear is a good thing, right? It's not a bad thing. There's one woman on the internet, she says, when you feel fear, it's the same as feeling excitement. It's physiologically the same. Well, that's what she says. I mean, she's not a doctor or a scientist, but ultimately, I know when I feel fear, it doesn't feel anything like excitement. I think what she's mistaking is that when we have excitement, we're also feeling a bit of the same sensations of fear. Fear is often a part of excitement, as is revealed by the emotional color wheel. When you mix trepidation with satiation, you get excitement. But fear and excitement aren't exactly the same thing, because I feel happy when I'm excited, and I don't feel happy when I'm just in fear. In fact, no one does. For trauma survivors, fear becomes the hallmark of their life. It becomes defining. But should fear be definitive of your existence? It is true that fear has its place. We want to categorize fear as being there for us as a protection. It's trying to protect us. But we have to realize if we allow fear to be the leader, if we allow fear to be the boss, then fear now becomes a prevention. It starts to prevent us. It prevents us from getting the job we want, getting the spouse we want, getting anything we want. In fact, we start to lose track of wants altogether when we live in fear. We become like an animal, a squirrel. It lowers our humanity. So you're just constantly moving around, trying to go constant indecision because of fear. If I go this way, I'll get hurt. If I go this way, I'll get hurt. Oh no, I don't know what to do. Just like a squirrel when they're trying to cross the street in front of your car. indecision. You don't want to live your life like a squirrel. We are made for more than that. But to do that, we have to understand how to put fear in its proper place. Fear is for a protection. Fear is a protector, but if we allow it to lead us, then it becomes a preventer. So we should live our life 85% in love and in dreams, driven to become what we want to be and do what we want to do. And we need to mitigate fear down to be that remaining 15%. And then we will experience balance. Many people fear suffering and they fear the pain. Let's address the belief system. Can you avoid pain and suffering? Let's imagine that you are fortunate enough to live on for the next 10, 20 years. Can you avoid all pain and suffering for the next 20 years? The answer is no. We cannot avoid all pain and suffering. So if we cannot avoid it, isn't it inevitable? Well, yeah. Pain and suffering is inevitable. Check your belief system. Because if you have an old belief such as, my main goal is just to avoid pain and suffering, that's a maladaptive belief. And it keeps you living in fear. And now fear is limiting you. So let's switch the belief. We don't want to think, well, my whole purpose is just to avoid pain. I just don't want to hurt. I don't want to get hurt. No. Pain and suffering are inevitable. That's the new belief. Pain and suffering are an inevitable part of life. Accept that. And it will start to alleviate some of the fear. It'll start to mitigate that fear down to where it really belongs. Pain and suffering are an inevitable part of life. Therefore, what is in your control is not to avoid all pain and suffering. That's not in your control. That's not a choice. That's not even on the drawing board. It's not in the multiple choice worksheet. It's not there. It's not an available option in the buffet of life. What you can do is, to an extent, you can choose your pain and suffering. That's the privilege that you have. We have the ability to make a decision to choose our hurt, to choose our pain. So you can choose to open yourself up to the pain of rejection and approach people to start friendships, or you can choose to have the pain of being alone and not having any friends. Either way, you're going to have pain. You will have rejection or you will have loneliness. Both are pain. You choose. But you know what happens when we're in fear? We choose not to choose, not realizing that even that is a choice. And when you choose not to choose, you lose, because you're not choosing your suffering. It gets chosen for you. We must not choose not to choose. We must choose to choose. And your choice is not either pain or no pain. Your choice is, which pain and suffering would you like to choose? This is sophisticated thinking. This is how we must update our beliefs. And we must do so right now. We cannot live another day going on trying to avoid pain in our life. We need to choose the pain. Do I want the pain of going through school, or do I want the pain of not having the credential? Both are going to hurt. Do I want the pain of paying the parking, the meter, or do I want the pain of potentially getting a ticket? There's always going to be pain. We don't know where and when exactly it's going to come, but it's coming. Don't fear it. It's not the enemy. If you're being hit with a strap, it's not the pain on your backside that is harming you. The pain does not harm you. The pain is informing you of the harm. That's what pain is. Understand it on a deep level. The pain is not the enemy. The pain's letting you know something's harming our backside right now. Thank the pain. Thank you. I actually appreciate that my body is working properly. Otherwise, you would be like Jared. And it would be very difficult for you to live your life healthily and to care for yourself if you didn't have pain. So change your perspective on it. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is an informant. So let's switch the way that we're looking at fear. And to do that, I'm actually going to bring up an illustration, because fear is not supposed to be your boss. Fear works for you. Now, what is someone, if we think in illustrative purposes, what is an example of someone that works for you, or that could work for you, but they're also there to protect you? What did you come up with? Someone that works for you, but they're there to protect you. What do you come up with? A bodyguard, right? Your private security. Wouldn't it be kind of cool if you had your own private security? This is one of the things that people do very quickly when they become mega wealthy, is they hire private security. They spend a large budget on their private security. Your fear is your private security. That's what it is. It's your bodyguard. That's what you need to recognize. If you write nothing else down in your notes today, please write this down. The fear is the bodyguard. The bodyguard's job is to protect you. So it's doing its job. Now think about how irritating it would be to actually have a bodyguard. He's big, right? He's strong, and he's telling you, sir, madam, we need to get out of here. You can't ever fully just chill and enjoy yourself, because he's always, here, sit in the corner over here. We need you with your back to the wall. We'll drive with you. I'll be in the car. No, you in the back seat. Hold on, don't get out until I get out first. Let me clear the path, right? He's always telling you what to do. I don't advise that. I don't advise you go there. I don't advise you go alone. I don't advise you do that, right? He's always telling you what to do. But wait a second. Doesn't the bodyguard work for you? Why would you have someone on your payroll that tells you what to do? It's not complicated. He has his expertise. He has one job. His job is to protect you. You are the boss. You have more than one job. So let me ask you this question. Are you supposed to be subservient to your bodyguard, always doing whatever he tells you to do? Yes or no? You have more than one job in life. You're the boss. You're the CEO. He is your protector. He has one job, to protect you. Are you to become subservient to your bodyguard, whom you pay? The answer is no. But wait a second, shouldn't you listen to him? The answer is yes, but not all the time, right? See, the proper relationship with your bodyguard is you invite him to advise you. Okay, Sam, we're going to be going here, there. What do you think? He will advise you. Well, ma'am, I don't think it's a good idea to such and such. Well, you got to watch out for the so-and-so. Well, maybe we can do this if we, he advises, but then you make the decision and you say, I appreciate that, Sam. I still want to go to this event, so I'm going to need you to do your best to protect me while I'm there. Bam. That's the proper order in the relationship between you and your bodyguard. That's the proper order between you and your fear. The idea that you need to be fearless, that we need to lose our fear, that's a misnomer. It's a way of speaking, but in itself, it is not accurate. It's not our job to lose all fear, because that's like you being without your bodyguard. Your responsibility is to conquer your fear. Conquer, meaning to subdue, to dominate, meaning to be the chief of, the boss of. You have authority in your body over yourself. So you must be the boss in your relationship with your bodyguard. He's just there to protect you. He will inform you. He will instruct you. He will advise you. But you make the choices. You make the decisions. Is this making sense? If you don't remember anything else, please remember, the fear is your bodyguard. Stop being subservient to the fear. It's just there to protect you. Thank the fear. Be kind to it. Listen to it, but not all the time. You got to make the decisions. Let's think about how we can apply this in a practical sense. So you're going through your everyday life and you start to feel fear when there's decisions to be made, right? But now when we talk about this idea of it being a bodyguard, then we realize that we're not supposed to allow the fear to prevent us. So we're supposed to move forward, but we don't ignore the fear completely because it works for us, right? It's a bodyguard. So we listen to it. It's an advisor. So we have to really develop an idea, a concept of doing whatever it is we want to do or need to do despite the fear. Pay attention to it because it informs you, right? It's the fear that keeps me from spending all the money out of my bank account. I'm glad I got the fear. That's really smart. Spending it on something dumb or frivolous. I'm glad I have the fear. It's the fear that keeps me from jumping out of my window right now or taking up motorcycle riding. I'm glad I have the fear. Okay. No shade on anyone who does ride a motorcycle. But the fear keeps us safe. That's the point. But in order to keep it in balance, what percentage does the fear need to be in our life? Do you remember? The minority, 15%. Everything else got to be love and dreams. You're the boss, so you have to create that organization. The fear will become very loud and very strong at times. And you'll have to say, thank you very much for informing me, but I need to move forward with my dream of learning to ride a horse. Thank you very much for informing me, but I need to move forward with my dream of, because I'm dream driven, right? Not fear driven. The fear is just an informant. It's just there to let you know. Your attitude, your philosophy in life has to be go with the fear. It's not don't have any fear, be fearless. That's actually not smart. It's unwise. Have the fear, but go with it. Just bring it along. Let it ride in the back seat or the passenger. So it's like, wow, I feel a lot of fear right now, but I'm going to go ahead and go ziplining. I feel a lot of fear right now, but I'm going to go ahead and get on this airplane. I feel a lot of fear right now, but I'm going to go ahead and apply for this job. I feel a lot of fear right now, but I'm going to call Roman and start healing from my trauma. I feel fear right now, but I'm going to set this boundary. I'm going to stand up for myself. I feel fear right now, but I'm going to be silent in the face of my accusers. I feel fear right now, but I'm not going to let the fear control me. It's not going to make me talk when I shouldn't talk. It's not going to make me be quiet when I shouldn't be quiet. I'm going to do what is best in each situation by pausing, meditating, and choosing, because I'm the boss. I'm the CEO. The fear is not the boss. Take the fear with you. Take it with you. Go with it. But don't let it drag you. Don't let it prevent you and hold you back, because then it's just too much. Your security guard has one job. That's to keep you safe. Do you feel like you get it? Do you get how you can live your life with fear, but yet your fear is only 15%, so you're actually guided by love and dreams? I want this to be simple enough that you're understanding, because today this change has to be made. Otherwise, we stay stuck in trauma mode. We break out of the trauma when we conquer the fear and we lead it as our employee. Let's take some examples. All right, so you've always wanted to start that business. You know you should start your business. Okay. Now you've got fears, right? Oh no, What if I get sued? How am I going to do my taxes? If you know to go forward despite the fear, then what will you do? Someone in the audience who thinks they know the answer, I would like to invite you to raise your hand and answer this question. I'll give you the scenario again. You know that you need to start your own business, but yet the fear says, oh no, what if I get sued? How will I pay taxes? What do you do? How do you go with it? How do you take it with you? What should we do, Charlotte? You want to help us out?
Certainly. What I would personally do is I would just move forward with knowing that that fear, like you said, it's just a small percentage, but I know that I could still move forward with it and be successful in it. What has fear gotten me so far? Nothing. But I know that believing in myself will get me further, much further along. So I would move forward with that.
Very good. So both answers are correct, right? We want to take into consideration, yes, there are taxes to be paid. Yes, things could go wrong, and bring, as Val said, the what ifs with us and move forward despite the fear. We don't stop and say, oh, I have fear, so I just never do anything. Because like Charlotte said, what has the fear ever brought you? It's not going to accomplish anything. The only thing the fear does is just keep you stuck right here. It's a protector. So you have to thank it and say, okay, I appreciate that. Now let's move forward. So I'll call a lawyer and we'll ask about getting sued. I'll call an accountant and I'll ask about taxes, or I'll use Google or YouTube or something like that. But I got to keep going because I still need to accomplish my goals. That's living on purpose, in purpose. And that's how we start our business, despite the fact we have fears. Let's take another example. Let's go relationships. Now, you've been hurt in the past. I mean, you've been hurt in the past. Somebody just did you so wrong. Now, how do you move forward despite the fact that you have a fear that you could get hurt again? Any volunteers? I'm Manal.
So I would say depends in this case. You can try for the second time. Depends on how you feel about this relationship or about that person. If you're still in love with that person, you might give it a shot and try and learn from the past. If you don't love that person, then there is no any purpose to try again. So it depends.
Okay. Well, it definitely does depend, but it depends on, our love, our dreams, our purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, we're pretending that your purpose is to get into another relationship. You would like to get into a relationship, but you're scared because you've been hurt again. So how do we move forward with this? Sarah J?
I focused on just looking at the part that I could control because, you're never going to know another person fully right off the bat.
That's great advice. Focus on what you can control. But if I've been hurt in the past, is that basis to never do another relationship again? It's not basis to stop and never have another relationship again. The only proper basis to give up on relationships is dreams and love. You must say, I don't want another relationship because that's not my desire, because I want to accomplish A, B, C, and D. That's the only proper basis to give up on relationships. Giving up because of fear is allowing the fear to be the boss, and that doesn't make sense. Now you're fearing pain and running. It doesn't make sense. Don't do that. That's maladaptive, right? You guys are doing really good. Let's take one more comment on this, Darlene.
We have to move forward. It's the only thing we can do for self-growth. We have to move forward, but we also have to learn what is best for ourselves, what works, what doesn't work, and move away from them.
Very good. Bingo. And that's balance, because we're moving forward, but we're doing so with caution, with wisdom. Thank you, Darlene. And we'll have more time, friends, after these questions. You'll have more time to share personal experiences. But right now, we need to stay right on subject. So let's take another example. You quit your job, or you want to quit your job because it's a toxic environment. They're abusive. So you're like, I want to quit my job, but I'm afraid that I might not find something else. What should we do? Should we just do nothing? Choose not to choose because we're afraid and we have fear? Neil, do you want to take a stab at this?
I think like this, just from what you're saying.
Oh, we can't hear you, buddy.
Oh,
Just from what you were saying from the start, I think it's like the same answer. It's like choose your fear. So if it's worth it to you, worth it to you for you to go for it, go for it. If it's not worth it, then don't. I like the way this is kind of simplified. Each scenario brought up, I think like I was kind of, generalizing it down to that, and it made it very clear. So yeah.
I love that. Very analytical of you. Analyze it, and is it worth it to you? That's very analytical, because that goes back to our new belief. Suffering is inevitable. It's on either side. So whether you go this way or you go that way, it's going to be hard. If you stay, it's hard. If you go, it's hard. And there's risk either way. So choose your hard. Choose your risk. Choose your loss. What's valuable to you, right? Nikki? Edward?
hey, can you hear me?
Now I can. Yeah.
Okay, great. For the work one, when you realize, like, you're a little bit innocent when you don't understand you're being mistreated, but when you realize if you're in a toxic situation and it's terrible and it's breaking you down every day, once you are absolutely educated and understanding that's what's going on, if you don't move from that situation every day that you wake up, you're kind of saying, Eddie's not worth it, or Eddie deserves this treatment. And that's kind of a part of why we're all here, is because we're kind of in this like kind of shame hole from the abuse. So you're kind of chucking sand into your own hole if you don't move forward.
Wow. Well, very well said. Thank you, Edward. Thank you so much for that. Let's take another example. You're afraid to leave your house. You've been through something in your life. It's making you afraid to go outside, to have to face people. You're feeling traumatized. What should we do? Denise?
It's a tough experience to imagine having. And I really love what's been said so far. It seems like the consistent theme is we need to relegate fear to its appropriate place and size, as you have said, Roman. And in each of these examples, there is a path in which fear is taking up more of the person's life than it really should. And perhaps most intensely in this example of it being so crippling that someone is unable to leave their home. So that fear has grown too big. And so that person would want to enlist help, I think, at that point from a therapist or someone to learn strategies to knock that fear down to the size that it should be. And I really love your emphasis, Roman, on the important function of fear. And I feel like for all of us as like survivors or whatever you want to call it, like some of the language, like it can be really invalidating sometimes when it's just like, oh, just get over it, or like leave it in the past. And it's like, well, I sort of can't. And also like some amount of fear is good. Like I don't really trust people, but I think I'm kind of right. Like, I don't know. Like, but so anyway, back to the hypothetical, like, if I were a therapist and I were talking to that person, or if that was my friend who wouldn't leave their house, it's like I would want to validate that a certain amount of fear is legitimate, and you know, it has a function to keep us safe. It's just that metaphor of the bodyguard is so good, of like, the bodyguard is not the boss, and we can't allow fear to be the boss.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was really good. Thank you, Roman.
Thank you, Denise. And you're absolutely right. So by relegating that fear of going outside down, and we recognize, oh, we're giving up too much as a CEO. We're giving up too much to stay here. So basically, our bodyguard's saying, well, let's just stay in the house. And we have to say to the bodyguard, sorry, you're asking too much. Can't do that. We're going to move forward. We will enlist the help of a therapist. We will do the classes. We will expose ourselves to our fear. And as we continue to expose ourselves to the very thing we fear, it will help to reprogram the subconscious mind so that it's no longer a fear. But this is what the adage "get back on the horse" means, because it's understood that if you fall off the horse and you don't get back on it, then you will fear riding a horse, and you will be prevented for the rest of your life from being able to be mobile. Let's keep going. Approaching the opposite sex. This is a more common one for guys who are more commonly approachers in male-female relationships. A guy may look at the situation and say, I don't want to get rejected, so they don't want to approach. But if they desire to be in a relationship, what should they do despite their fear?
So I'm not a guy, so hypothetically, I would say, if it's somebody that you like, that you think you have the same values with, that you're interested in, then go for it. If it doesn't work out, then it's your perspective, right? It's not anything to do with you or them rejecting you per se. Like but I think it's just going along the lines of you have to go for what makes you happy. And if you go and get rejected, that doesn't say anything about you at all. It's just how it happens, you know. It's kind of take a step forward. And as long as you're taking even a baby step inch forward, at least you're going forward. So maybe even if you don't fully approach the person, if you walk by and say hi, that's still something, and still something you can celebrate.
Very good. Excellent. And I appreciate how you help the person to reframe their thinking around rejection. Instead of seeing it as something that they should take personally, they should recognize that rejection is a part of the process of finding their mate. And they should relish that this woman that he's approaching in this scenario has the freedom to reject him. He wants that. Because when you reframe rejection, then you realize that she's not a suitable mate for him if she rejects him. Ultimately, because if she's not attracted to him, it will never work. The very first question that you would have if we strip away everything is, hi, I'm attracted to you. Are you attracted to me at all? Is there a chance here? That's the basic question. You need to find that out quickly. if you're in the mating dating process, you need to find out very quickly, and it's a numbers game. Don't take it personally, because some women are attracted to beards and others hate it. Some are attracted to motorcycles, others hate it. So there is no, it's not anything personal. It's just her personal preference. And you got to find out, am I your thing? Am I your type? They got to tell you, no, I'm sorry, you're not my type. Okay, thank you very much. Backing off, and you got to go your way. The rejection is not a bad thing. The rejection is how you find who is the suitable mate. It's part of the process. So we have to recognize the fear is an informant. Walk up, feel the fear. Oh my God, oh my God. I can't believe I'm approaching this person. We can use this in non-romantic relationships as well. You're thinking you want to approach a person, strike up a conversation, invite someone out, get to know someone, pick their brain. This is in work relationships. This is in friendships. It's all the same thing. Feel the fear. Oh God, acknowledge the fear. Oh, I'm afraid they're going to reject me. Do it anyway. Move forward with it. Tell your bodyguard, Sam, get behind me and just do what you can, because I got to go, and we're going to go and we're going to do this. That's it. Move forward despite the fear. Karen, your thought?
My thought was, if you can hear me. Yeah.
You're a little quiet.
My thought was, I have spent a lot of time being afraid of relationships because I'm afraid that I'm going to be the one to hurt someone else. And I think that my fear, if I use it properly, can tell me what parts of myself I need to work on in order to be in a healthy relationship. Like if I'm afraid that I am not going to be a good fit for any relationship, then it can tell me what parts of myself I need to work on to be, I guess, more I'm sorry. My fear can help me look at myself and try and be more assessing of myself. Like, how am I going to be a good person in this relationship? How am I going to listen better? How am I going to treat another person with more respect if I'm afraid of rejection? Rather than just saying, no, I can't do it, I'm too broken to be in a relationship.
Very good. Thank you. So despite the fear, we got to move forward. We got to do it anyway. But as you said, we can listen to the fear as an informant. So let's take one more example. Okay. You would like to learn something new, but your fear kicks in and says, oh no, if we try to learn something new, we could mess up. We could look stupid. We could fail. What should we do? If we want to learn something new, and then the fear kicks in, says, oh no, if we try to learn something new, we can mess up and embarrass ourselves. Rapinski?
In approaching something, in learning something new, moving forward despite the fear, and the coming back to ourselves and just kind of coming back to a safe place. You've talked about a bodyguard. I kind of envision, in addition to the bodyguard, like a guardian angel, as though I can just kind of ask for the support as well as the protection that I need from myself. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you.
Yeah.
So absolutely. And that bodyguard can provide support, and it is providing support by doing its job and giving you fear. That's the job. It has one job, keeps you safe by giving you fear. So if we would like to learn something new, but then the fear comes in and says, oh no, I'm afraid. Because what if I make a fool of myself? Edward, your thought on this?
I wanted to say the part in your training where you stop and you thank yourself for the fear or anxiety, and you go through the rundown of this is a warning of letting me know something that we need to address, and you say thank it, and then go on to remind myself that it is how you were speaking about you pick your pain, and it's either yes, it will be uncomfortable to learn and this and that, but that time will be filled with something. So you could either construct it to be something of real high quality, or it could be something you can like more garbagey, like just watching TikTok all day or something.
Thank you. Very good. So I appreciate everyone's answers here. You guys have all done a really great job. Huguette, did you have the answer here?
Yes, because I've actually been practicing this myself. Maybe look at it as in fear is based off memory. You have fears because of what had happened in the past. So the mindset, because of the subconscious, it knows that it's familiar with, oh, okay, oh my God, something's about to happen, or we're fearful of that. That's why it alerts us. So perhaps if we look at it, okay, you know what? I'm a better version of I am now that I was back then. So therefore, I'm more equipped to do better this time. So perhaps look at it this way. And the fear, by looking forward and not looking based on memory, you'll have a better chance of learning and becoming better, I think.
Mhm. Beautiful, beautiful. I appreciated all of your contributions to this discussion. Please put this in your notes. Put this in your notes. Move forward anyway. Just put that there. That's the answer to the question. You move forward anyway. I need this to be very clear. I don't want this to be complicated, okay? I need to make sure it's simple enough. You move forward anyway. Why? Because you're dream driven. Done. Does that make sense? We're not guided by fear anymore. We're not guided by fear. We're dream driven. The fear is an informant. It's a bodyguard. It's going to let us know, hey, look, here's my concerns, blah, 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 blah. Bam. So we move forward. So if we want to learn something new, that's the dream. So that's the boss. We move forward. We're the boss. That's the dream. I want to learn something new. That's it. So you already know what you're going to do. The fear is just coming in and telling you, well, what if we fail again? Well, what if we do everything else? And you say, okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Nevertheless, I'm going to move forward anyway. And if you got to approach the opposite sex, if that's the dream, then the fear comes in and says, oh no, what if you fall on your face? What if she rejects you? What if she makes a fool of you? And you say, thank you very much. I'm doing it anyway. And you move forward anyway. And if you're afraid to leave the house, but you know you should, then you move forward anyway. You leave anyhow. You leave your house, even though you're afraid. Do you understand? If you know that you need to quit your job because it's a toxic workplace, but then you have the fears that are telling you, oh no, but wait a second. If you quit your job, you won't be able to find another job. You know what you do? You quit your job anyway. The fear informs you so you can become wise about it. Perhaps you can start looking for a job while you're at your other job, or you can start a business, you can do whatever, but you're going to quit your job anyway. That's the answer. It is that simple. You move forward according to dreams. It's hard to do sometimes. It's hard to not do every time. When you choose not to choose, you choose to lose. Every single time you will lose, I promise you, if you choose not to choose and you just sit still. Your responsibility is to accomplish your purpose. You can't do that if you're living like a squirrel. I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared. No, you move forward anyway. What's my dream? What's my vision? What am I trying to accomplish? I'm afraid. Well, good. That means this thing's working. I'm glad I can feel pain. I'm glad I can feel fear. Now, what is it informing me of? Let's move forward. You do it anyway. You do it anyway. If it's your dream to be in a relationship, but you got hurt in the last relationship, take the lessons, take what you learn, focus on what you can control, and move forward anyway. And go into a relationship, sitting in the relationship, looking at the person dead in their eyes, knowing they have the power to hurt me again. They have the power to just walk away or to do whatever it was that the last person did. And I'm going to sit with this and I'm going to deal with this. I'm going to face the fear. I'm going to get back on my horse. If you know you need to start the business, you just start the business anyway. You can call a lawyer, you can call a tax accountant, but there's always going to be some fear. So despite the fear, you move forward. Does that make sense? We're not guided mainly by the fear. We're not controlled by the fear. The fear is not our boss. The fear is our bodyguard. So let's keep that in mind for the future moving forward. Can we all agree to do that? The fear is on your team, but it's not your boss. Don't let it lead you. It's the bodyguard.